Today we're going to be creating a flat web design inside of Adobe Edge Animate because I noticed out there when I was doing some design research for another class that flat color is all the rage right now out there in the web design world. So I thought you might enjoy getting a chance to work on it. The source material for what we're going to be working on today I found on Pixabay. This is a photo by James Demers, and it's just called Peony Bud Flower Bud Pink Fuchsia Peony. What a name, huh? I think those are pretty, probably just tags that he loaded in there to have something come up. So if you want the original source file, that's where you can find it. Okay, let's see what we're going to do. This is the final product. So I desaturated it a little bit and put a little bit of a blur on some of the background to take the focus off of my background and put it more onto the peony. I've got some just regular standard icons that ship with Photoshop and some text and just some really easy buttons that we're going to make for our navigation system. So that's where we're going to head. Now, you'll notice that when you downloaded your files for me today, that folder that unzipped is called Peony. I've got quite a few things for you in there. I've got some assets, and I've got this garden spot tease example. This is a flattened image from my PSD file because I thought you might like to have a reference to look at as you work on this. The text file is the lorem ipsum text that I generated. It's nothing special, I promise. But I just thought it might be easy so you don't have to go out to the web to find your own. Images. The images have all 5 of the things that you're going to need to work from for what we're going to do today. So let's close this window. Kick off Edge Animate if you haven't already, and go to Create New Project. Set the width. Let's set this to 1440 by 900 tall. I'm going to change the viewport here a little bit so I can see my canvas a little bit better. That looks great. Now let's save this file. Go up to File, Save. Call it Peony. There we go. I'm just going to put this right inside that folder with all the assets and click Save. Now let's check and make sure that it put it where we think it's going to be. Yes. There are the 3 JavaScript files that are generated. There's the .an file, which is the native file format for the project, and there's also something called peony.html. Perfect. We're ready to get started for our project. Let's get going. We need to import our assets. Go up to File, Import. Go into that Images folder, Shift-click all 5 of those files, and click Open. The order of stacking over here in the Elements panel is a little goofy. I want the peony to be underneath everything else, so I need to drag this guy right on down there. This way, when I click off of it and deselect it, I can see that I've got all of these little icons up in the upper left-hand corner, and the peony image is now indeed in back of everything. I just want to give you like a heads up. The Elements panel works in a very similar way to layers. So that was one of the most helpful things that I found coming from Photoshop or Flash or that kind of thing, is to think of the Elements panel as where the layering happens. It works a little different, but it's still kind of the same. Okay, now let's start getting things aligned and created on our web page here. Click on your peony, hold down Shift, and let's constrain the x-axis and move it to the right-hand side of the page there. Now I'm going to click off and back on my elements from time to time because I've found that there's often a 1 pixel drift, which drives me insane. So I'm going to check that quite frequently as we go through our project. Save your file. And the old traditional shortcuts of Command S do work here. Now, to make things easier to see, I'm going to put a background color on the left-hand part of this canvas so that the icons and whatever text we're working with does show up a little bit more easily. So let's create a new rectangle, and do realize that it's not just a rectangle, okay? This is not Photoshop. We're actually going to be creating a div inside of HTML5 as we draw this on our stage. So go up to the upper left-hand corner. You notice how I'm just hovering my mouse in that upper left-hand corner to get these smart guides up. So when you see both of them appear, start clicking and dragging. All right. Now, I'm going to go ahead and let go. Let's click Save, and let's go see what it's going to do for us. I'm going to go to File, Preview, and Browser. Now, this is going to come up in just a second here. Okay. This is what I'm talking about when I mentioned that 1 pixel drift. Do you see the top part of my screen here? Right there. That's going to drive me insane. Okay. And there's also one over here on the left-hand side, I believe. Yep. Okay. So let's go back into Edge here and let's fix that. You have to make it just a little bit bigger. That is just fine. The other thing to do is to check position and size. You want it to be set to 0, 0. If you need to make that 1 pixel or so bit bigger, that is just fine. Let's make this 675. That looks better to me. Okay, let's do another preview. Let me close this guy. Go back into Edge, go to File, Preview and Browser. There we go. Okay, so that's how you check your work to make sure that you're doing a great job. Okay. Whew. Now, let's change the color of this div here. By the way, we need to make sure that as we're working, we're going to name our items properly. So I've clicked on it. It's being highlighted over here in the Elements panel. It's called Rectangle currently. Double click it. Let's call this main_content instead. Now, a note about your naming conventions. All those rules that you learned in your beginning web classes do apply here because we are creating HTML. So camel case naming is great. Do not use capital letters. Do not start with a number. Remember, when you upload your files to your servers, you may run into a problem if you have some kind of unusual naming. Okay, so just keep that in the back of your mind. No spaces, none of those other boo-boos that we talked about. Okay, so I'm going to take main_content, and I'm going to move that down to just above the peony. And we're going to lock these guys down, which is a really, really nice feature. And I'm super excited about that here. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to actually create that nav bar. So create a new rectangle. And for the sake of simplicity, I'm just going to refer to it by what it looks like rather than what it's actually creating inside of HTML5. Okay, so we're creating a rectangle here. Go down onto your screen and just draw a rectangle really quick. The size and the height don't matter because we're going to manipulate that with numbers. Come over to the Properties panel. You're looking for the width. Change the width to 150. Change the height to 100. Select the color just underneath that. Go to your hexadecimal tab and let's make this color A9 B as in boy, A, excuse me, 8, A9. Let me read that again. A9, B as in boy, 8, A9. Okay. Wonderful. Click off of that. I'm going to change, as I'm looking at this, I need to change this background color for the main content div too. So unlock that. Let's do that really fast. Change that color. Again, making sure you're under the hexadecimal tab. That color is D as in dog, 3. E, 6, D as in dog, 3. Much better. Okay. Go back and click on that first little navigation block. We're going to call this about background. Drag about background underneath about icon. Click on about icon, hover over it so that you can see those 4 arrows, and drag the about icon down onto it. If you hover over the exact center, you'll see these crosshairs. That is just fine for now. Now, click on the about background, hold down the Alt or Option key to click and drag out an identical rectangle. And we're going to do that one more time for a total of 3. Click on the second one. Let's change that background color, and that is going to become 717 A71. Click on the next rectangle. Let's change that background color. That one is going to become 393 E39. Great. You know what, I'm just going to drag this guy up here just for just a second. Now let's move all of these together. I want to make sure that they're properly aligned. So I just shift clicked and selected all of them. And then I right clicked over here in the Elements panel. I went down to Arrange, and we're going to align bottom. There we go. Now, let's move this to the left-hand side of this page. And I'm holding down Shift, and I'm pressing the arrow keys. Great. Now let's move this up just a tad. It looks pretty good. It doesn't have to be exact. Okay, I'm seeing that I am a pixel or 2 off, so let's move it over one more. And one more again. Those pixels really do matter, people. Okay, great. Now, we need to make sure that we've got our naming perfectly. So my first block that I just clicked on, that is about underscore background. My second block, this one is going to be different. This is going to be contact underscore background. My third one is going to be shop underscore background. Okay, now I need my about icon to be right above about background. Then I'm going to want my shop icon just above the shop background. And then my home icon, we haven't created yet, that's going to be a little bit different. And then the contact icon is going to be just above contact underscore background. All right. Now, click on that about icon and let's drag it down to where it belongs, making sure that you get the crosshairs. Select contact icon in the Elements panel. That's going to highlight the element for you and you can drag it down. We're going to do the same thing. That looks pretty good. Highlight shop icon. Bring this guy over. Perfect. Isn't it nice to have those elements really align on your page without you having to really focus on it? That makes it super helpful. Okay, I need to create one more background here. So I clicked on the background for the About button. I'm going to hold down my Option key. I'm going to drag out another one here. Now, visually, let's just drag this to the all over here to the left-hand side of the screen. Change the color. This is going to be a fun color. It's going to be a hot pink. So it's going to be D as in dog, 9. B as in boy, 0, D4. Okay, I'm going to click off of it to check my alignment. Yes, that looks good. Let's change the name of this guy. This is going to be home underscore background. Now I'm going to drag home icon above home background. I'm just going to fix my about background too. There we go. I like to have everything grouped together visually because it just makes it so much easier to find. Now, highlight the home underscore background and let's pull this down and center that puppy too. Good. Save your file. Now, I need to allow for some text in this navigation system. So highlight all 4 of your images for those guys and just use your arrow tool to move it down. That looks okay. All right. Now I'm noticing that these guys don't seem like they're centered very well. Okay, so I highlighted them all again. You can right click, go to Arrange, and I want to align the vertical center. Okay, you may have to tweak that a little bit, but it's going to do for now for our purposes. Let's add some text. Go to Home icon, click the text tool, and let's just draw in some text here. Call it Home. Oops. Now this is not going to be perfect, and we're just going to do it quickly. Click back on T for text. Type in About. Oops. Click out. Go back to T for text. And this is going to be Contact. Go back to T for text. And this is going to be Shop. Okay, click on Home. Yes. I'm going to rename this as Home. Home underscore text. Now this guy can't be seen because he's underneath my 2 About icons and backgrounds here, so I'm just going to drag him up. Call this guy About underscore text. Make those names descriptive. Find Contact underscore text, and this is going to be Shop underscore text. Now you'll notice that this shop cannot be seen very well at all because it's too dark. What we're going to do is we're going to change the color on all 4 of these text elements here. So highlight them all by shift clicking. Go over into the Properties panel, and we're going to go back into the hex code. Choose FFFFFF, white. Great. I'm going to lock that main content because I really want to make sure that I don't mess with that anymore. And I'm going to do the same thing with all the backgrounds here. So that one, that one, that one, and that one are all going to be locked. Okay, grab Home underscore text and center it. About and center. Contact and center it. Shop and center it. Highlight all 4 of those one more time, and we need to center those against each other. Go up and right click, arrange, align horizontal center. Whoops, excuse me. Try that again. Arrange, align vertical center. There we go. And I'm thinking I'm going to need to move that up just a smidge. There we go. Much better. Command or Control Save. There you have it. There's your navigation system. Now, let's add some text for garden spot tees up here in this top area. Go to your text tool, click once. Now, thinking about our page, this will probably be a special class of H1, but we're not going to worry about a lot of that right now. So let's just put in our text, garden spot tees. And we're going to want this to be a different color. Go to click. Let's see. I'm going to change one more thing here. Hold on a second. Okay. Go back in there. We're going to use the same color that we used on the home. And that's going to be D as in dog, 9, B as in boy, 0, D as in dog, 4. However, I want it to be more saturated. So I'm just going to drag this guy down a little bit. Let's go over and move it up to the far right. That could be a little too far. That looks fine. Okay, good. Now, I do want to set this as an H1. Go up to my div tag, come down, choose H1. Let's set the size to be quite large and just kind of drag and center that right there. Let's change the type of text. Now, you'll probably need to find something a little more fun than what we have here. So let's see, just anything actually. I'm going to choose the trebuchet. Never mind. I'm going to choose the Palatino linotype. If you want to, you can go through and add font and choose an Adobe Web font, which is so nice. You know what? Let's just do that. I'm going to use this Alex brush. That looks great. Add font. Let's make that size a little bigger. Perfect. And let's just drag this and center it one more time here. Okay. The last thing we need to do for today's homework assignment is to put in another an H2 tag down here and some body text. So grab your text tool. Let's click and drag right up here because that's about where we want that box to be. We're just going to say heading. Okay. Now you'll notice that it's taking on the properties of what we set up here. So let's go up here. We need to set this as an H2, and let's set the font size. Let's make this, let's make it 16. And I want to get it off that Alex brush cursive. Let's make this Tahoma. Let's just make it just a little bit bigger so that we'll be able to see it. And I'm going to go and choose a different color. Actually, I'm going to go for this dark color right over here. This is going to be 393E39. And I might take that just a smidge darker. That looks great. Okay. Let's get your text tool one more time. We're going to drag out another text box here. And this is going to be the body of the text. So remember, with good design principles, you don't want to have your text butting up against the very edge, especially for text that you have to read. Okay. So let's open up that text file, huh? Go into those assets. You want text and lorem ipsum text. Oh, lovely. It's going to open up my Flash Builder. Let's give that a second to finish running there. I've got this opened in another program behind the scenes. Just tell it what you want it to do. Yes, I understand. Go away. Assets. Text. Lorem ipsum text. Open with. It's going to fuss at me a little bit here. And I'm going to open this with Adobe Dreamweaver. Just makes it easy. Try not to open these kind of text files inside of Word because they just put horrible, horrible coding problems into your text documents. I prefer opening everything inside of Dreamweaver because I know it's not going to add any kind of extra font stuff to my document or other kind of styling. Okay, it's going to take just a second. All right. Yep. Even now, I have a little bit of cleaning up to do, and that's okay. I'm just going to get rid of these tags because we don't really need it. It's going to be generated for us. Okay. Perfect. Copy it. Minimize whatever program you're using to get that. Let's go back into here. Give me another text element. Let's just drag this puppy out. Okay. Copy, paste. You'll notice that my text element is not the proper size. So what you're going to need to do is resize this text box so you can see all of it, so you have a better idea of where to cut. Okay, so here's my first paragraph. Here's my second paragraph. And I'm looking for dolore. Okay, right there. That looks pretty good. Now, this guy, okay, what happened is it's pulling in other elements. Let's turn this into a paragraph. Let's go back to my heading. It's called H2. This guy is too large comparatively, so let's put this down to 14. Oh, way too small for our purposes because we can't see it. You know what? I'm just going to copy and paste it one more time. Maybe this last paragraph. One more time. Okay, that's better. All right, guys. Save your files. Command or Control S. And let's take a look at what this is going to do inside of our web browser. Here it is. There is your very first web design inside of Adobe Edge. If you want to, you can always open up your HTML file inside of an HTML editor. That is just fine. And actually, let's take a look at that. That might be kind of fun. Let's open this up inside of Dreamweaver. Okay. Not what you expected, is it? And that's because of the code that Edge adds inside of it. So that's okay. If you ran this, though, if you went and previewed it in Safari, you would be able to see your original page. So if there is something on your page that you do need to edit that is You can do it here inside of this guy. You can open your JavaScript files and edit it here. Otherwise, you'll be doing the vast majority of your editing inside of Adobe Edge Animate. Okay, that ends this portion of the tutorial. I'll see you guys in the next movie.